guys, it's Laura. Thank you so much for watching and welcome back to my channel. So I'm here again with another Halloween costume, and as you have seen from the title, it's Mia Wallace today. So I will show you how I created the pattern for the pants and how I made the pants, and also how I created new cuffs for one of my long sleeve white shirts so that the cuffs would look more like the cuffs of the shirt that Uma Thurman was wearing in the film. So this is what you're gonna see in today's video. Also, I wanted to give you a further idea what to do with this combo paired with a black blazer with a little bit higher pumps and a blue messenger bag together with a brown wig. It could be turned into Jackie Brown costume, which I'm personally not gonna wear, obviously, since I'm pretty much the whitest person ever and it just would not feel right to me. I feel like I might offend someone with wearing that costume, but if you are a black girl, that might be something you would want to consider if you are a Tarantino fan. And now let's get into these videos, and we are going to start with the pants, so have fun. Let's have a look at the sketch and the idea behind my pattern first. I used as a template my jeggings pattern, which I created together with you guys. The tutorial is linked down below in the description box. So as a first step, I measured where my knees were and I marked the place below my knees on the jeggings pattern. Then I copied the entire pattern with pockets, waistband and all of the other small parts, except this time I made the bottom part of the pants wider. I kind of eyeballed how wide I wanted my pants to be. I don't really care that much if they are exactly like Uma Thurman's pants, so I just went with the width I like. You can of course look at her photos and copy the bottom part of the pants more like her pants were in the movie. Uma's pants in Pulp Fiction were also shorter. They ended above her ankles, but I want my pants to be wearable also after Halloween, so I sketched the bottom part of the pattern for nicely long pants, exactly how I like them. So I measured the distance from the place below my knees to the bottom, and that was the length of my bottom part, in my case 18 inches. Again, if you want the pants to be more like Uma's, make sure the finished bottom ends above your ankles. There is basically no right or wrong, just make adjustments you feel good with. Here we have the back and the front parts of the pants. And here are the smaller parts, the back yoke, the back pockets, the front four pockets, and of course also the waistband together with the elastic band. The steps are basically the same procedure, just like for my jeggings. The tutorial for my jeggings is linked down below in the description box. First, I pinned the back yoke to each back part. And then the parts looked like this. I have sewn the yoke on with stretchy overlock stitch, and then I folded the seam to one side and I have sewn through with a stretchy straight stitch. Once that was done, it looked like this. Next, I folded the sides and the upper edge of my back pockets in place. I have sewn through the upper edge with a stretchy straight stitch, and I also pinned my crest on one of the pockets because I always put my signature crest on things I either make or redo. It's basically like me marking my territory. Anyway, once that was done, I have positioned my back pockets on each back part. I made sure that they were symmetrical. I have sewn the pockets on in 2 rows of a stretchy straight stitch. Here is what it looked like once that was done. As a next step, I have pinned the front 4 pockets on each front part. Here is what it looked like once the pockets have been pinned in place. I have sewn the 4 pockets on also with the stretchy overlock stitch, and then I also folded the seam to one side. It looked like this, and I have sewn through with stretchy straight stitch. This was the result. And then I pinned the middle of the back parts together. I've sewn the pieces together with stretchy overlock stitch. And once that was done, I pinned the seam to one side and I have sewn through with stretchy straight stitch. I have done the same with the front parts. Notice how I have sewn through the edge of the faux fly. As a next step, I pinned the sides of the back and the front parts together, and I have sewn the pieces together with stretchy overlock stitch. And then I folded the seam towards the back and I have sewn through with stretchy straight stitch. And here's how it looked like. Next, I have sewn the inside together with stretchy overlock stitch. Here I have also cut back the excess fabric. As a next step, I have sewn the end of my elastic band together. I have done the same with the waistband. I have sewn the elastic band to one edge of the waistband and then I have sewn the other edge of the waistband to the pant, all with the stretchy overlock stitch as usual. And then I folded the elastic band twice and I have pinned it in place. Here is what it looked like. And then I have sewn through with stretchy straight stitch. I folded the bottom of my pant up and pinned it in place. I tried them on first in order to make sure that I liked the length. And then I have sewn through the edge with regular straight stitch, and once that was done, my pants were done. You can wear basically any white blouse with these pants as long as it has long sleeves. It should be fitted though. If you want your costume to look more authentic, like Yuma's outfit in Pulp Fiction, you should replace the cuffs of your blouse with bigger cuffs that look like cufflink cuffs, and I will show you how to make these. Let's have a look at the finished new cuff that I created that looks as though I had cufflink cuffs. So it looks like this when it's folded, and when you open it there are buttons on both sides. I made buttonholes only on one side because that way I don't need cufflinks, and that's the reason why I put buttons on both sides. So when I'm gonna open it, then this is the side with the buttons and here's the side with the buttonhole. If you have cufflinks, you would simply make buttonholes on both sides and then you would use cufflinks. I didn't feel like buying cufflinks just for one Halloween costume, that's why I went with these. If you wanna make the same version just like I did with just one row of buttonholes and then double buttons, you can always use fancier buttons in silver or in gold that it really looks a little bit more like cufflinks. I went with this simple version for a very simple reason. I want to wear this blouse even after Halloween, and I very often switch between golden or silver jewelry, and I didn't want to be limited, but feel free to use fancier buttons if you feel like you want it to be a little bit more authentic. When I fold my cuff down, you will notice that it is twice as long as a regular cuff would be or has been previously on my blouse. So my cuff is now a little bit over 5.5 inches. This is 14.2 centimeters. So here is how the shape of my cuff looks like. It is not a perfect rectangle because I want it to be wider on the bottom, as I already mentioned. So let's measure mine. So mine is almost 9 inches here at the more narrow end, and the wider end is 11 inches. So there are like 2 inches difference, so 1 inch on each side. I think that would do. I wouldn't make it any further because that might look weird. And if you are trying to determine this width, then it's simply the same width as around of the bottom part of your sleeve once you take down the old cuff. One thing I should also mention, there are 2 pieces for the cuffs, and I ironed on both of them, iron-on interfacing, in order to make them stiffer so that they would keep the shape nicer.
So the first step was obviously to remove the old cuffs and make the new cuffs as you have seen now. And first I pinned one layer of the new cuffs to my sleeves, good sides together. I left space for seam allowance at each end. And I have sewn the new cuffs on with straight stitch. Then I started pinning the second layer to the cuff that has been already sewn on the sleeves. I double checked that both cuffs were equally long. I've sewn around the sides and the upper edge of the cuffs with straight stitch, then I cut back the edges and then I turned my cuffs to the good side. I shaped the edges and then I pinned all sides in place. And then I've sewn through the edges with regular straight stitch. I made sure I kept everywhere the same distance, and I also made 2 buttonholes on each outer side of each cuff. Last step was sewing on the buttons, and then my new cuffs were done. And here is my finished costume. My wig is not perfect because Yuma's hair was rather dark brown and it was much straighter, but it will do. And by the way, don't forget the dorky dancing Mia Wallace did in Pulp Fiction. As mentioned at the beginning, paired with a black blazer, pumps, brown wig and a blue messenger bag, it could also make a lovely Jackie Brown costume. I simply wanted to give you this additional idea, but I will stick to my Mia costume because, as I know, some people might feel offended if a white girl such as myself went dressed like Jackie Brown.
So if you would want to be super politically incorrect, you might take a piece of plastic and wrap either cornstarch or baking soda in it and twist it, and then it would look like the heroin that Mia Wallace sniffed right before she almost died. And you could also take a full blood and make a blood stain underneath your nose. And let's not forget the dot on her breasts where they had to stick in the syringe in order to revive her in the film after she overdosed. In that case, I would definitely wear a black top underneath the shirt, just like I'm wearing now, because she had some kind of a corset underneath her white shirt, and I would leave a few buttons open so that the dot is visible, and that's pretty much it. So this is how I made my Mia Wallace costume. The blouse is definitely a wonderful addition to my wardrobe because it's such a classical piece. It will look good with a blazer, with jeans, also with a sweater where I would fold the bottom part of the cuffs over the sweater. So definitely something I'm gonna enjoy. The pants, I love them. However, I have decided I will change them into tight pants because that way I will wear them more often than I would if I would leave them like that. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for today. I hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, don't forget to share it and to give it a thumb up. You can also subscribe to my channel if you didn't yet. That would definitely make my day. And I link down below my playlist with another Halloween costumes and other Halloween DIYs, and also all of my social networks. I am pretty active on Instagram. And I have also a second channel where I blog, so I link that down below too if you're interested. And thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and see you with my next video. Bye!